discuss about the next element, potassium. The element potassium is absorbed as potassium ions from the soil and it is required everywhere. That means it is required by all the parts of the plant, but it is required in more amount or in the more quantity by some meristematic cells which are present in the root tip, in the buds or in the leaves. So the potassium ion is required in a large quantity by root tips, buds and leaves. Now we are going to see the functions of potassium element. The mineral potassium is an important, plays a crucial role in the protein synthesis, and this potassium is required to maintain the ratio of anions and the cations in the cell so that the osmotic potential of the cell can be maintained. So it helps in maintaining the osmotic potential or the osmotic pressure in the cell. The next function of potassium is it helps in maintaining the turgidity of the cells. The potassium ions, as it is maintaining the turgidity, it prevents the rupturing or the bursting of the cell. The next function of potassium is essential for opening and closing of stomata. Concentration of the potassium makes the opening and closing of the stomata. And the last function of potassium is it acts as the activator of certain enzymes. So these are certain functions which is carried out by the element potassium. Let us study about the deficiency symptoms which can be seen due to the absence of the potassium. When the potassium is present in the small amount, or if the potassium is absent in the plant cells, then the yellowing of leaf margins can be seen. The whole leaf may not become yellow, but the leaf margins can become yellow in color, especially in the older leaves, and this yellowing of the leaf margins is termed as chlorosis, and also the necrosis can be seen due to the deficiency of potassium. Necrosis is the death of the tissues. So due to the deficiency of the element potassium, the death of the tissues can also take place, which is called as necrosis. The other deficiency symptom in case of potassium is it increases the activity of the enzyme tyrosinase. Due to the increased activity of the enzyme tyrosinase, the pigment production is also increases, and due to this some patchy appearance on the leaves or on the fruits can be seen. So this patchy appearance is termed as extra pigmentation of the fruits or flowers. This extra pigmentation can be seen due to the deficiency of element potassium. For example, when we see the potato tubers, it is in skin color. But when the tyrosine is released and when the tyrosine activity is getting increases, so the pigment production is also getting increases, and in this condition, due to the extra pigmentation, some black patches can be seen on this potato tubers. So these are the functions and the deficiency symptoms of the element potassium. The next element is calcium. Calcium is absorbed from the soil as calcium ions, and it is required by the meristematic tissues and the differentiating cells. As I have already told you that meristematic tissues are continuously dividing cells, and these continuously dividing cells divided till it gets maturity. So this calcium ions is required by these meristematic tissues and the differentiating cells. The functions of calcium include it helps in the cell wall formation. The cell wall contains a part called middle lamella, and this middle lamella is made up of calcium pectate. So in this way, the calcium is required in order to form the layer middle lamella in the cell wall. Therefore, the calcium is essential in the synthesis of the layer or the protective layer called cell wall. The next function of calcium is it maintains the cell membrane permeability. That means the calcium ions are maintaining the transportation of materials into the cells and out of the cells, hence it maintains the cell membrane permeability. It acts as the activators of enzymes like phospholipase and ATPase. The calcium is required in mitotic spindle fiber formation. The spindle fibers which are formed during the mitotic division can be takes place or it can be formed in the presence of calcium ions. And the last function of calcium ions include it helps in maintaining the stem apical meristem. This apical meristematic tissues are responsible for the elongation of the stem. It helps in the growth of the plant takes place in the height wise. These are certain functions of the element calcium. Let us talk about the deficiency symptoms of calcium. Due to the deficiency of element calcium, we can see the yellowing of older leaves, chlorosis and the necrosis can be seen due to the deficiency of calcium. That means the yellowing of older leaves can be seen, and the necrosis is death of tissue can take place due to the absence of calcium ions. As we have learned that the calcium is used in the synthesis of middle lamella of the cell wall. So, if the calcium is deficient or it is not present or it is not available in the plant, the production or the synthesis of the middle lamella will stops or it remains incomplete. When we observe the cell, when we observe the condition cytokinesis, we can see that the two nuclei are present and in between a plate is present which is middle lamella. If this middle lamella synthesis gets stopped or it remains incomplete, then the cell division will also get stopped or the cell division gets affected. In the condition where the middle lamella synthesis is not completed, but here the cytokinesis stops, nuclear division will remain continuous. That means the nuclei or the nucleus divided continuously and it results in the formation of multinucleated cell. The multinucleated cells are formed due to the deficiency of the element calcium. Calcium is not present in the plant body, then the cell growth will decreases or the cell growth will stop. So, these are certain functions of the calcium ion and the deficiency symptoms which can be seen due to the absence of calcium ion in the plant. One more deficiency symptom can be seen due to the absence of calcium, and that is withering of leaf tip or wilting of leaf tips occur due to the deficiency of calcium ion. If the wilting or the withering of the leaf tips takes place or it is seen in the plant body, then the economic value of the plants and its parts is going to be decreases. The withering of the leaf tips bends the structure of the plant and it reduces the economic value. So, this is about the element calcium. Let us move to the next element, that is magnesium. The magnesium is absorbed as divalent magnesium ions from the soil into the plant body and it is required in the chlorophyll synthesis. When we talk about the functions of magnesium, then this magnesium ions are required in the chlorophyll molecule, that is in the porphyrin ring of the chlorophyll molecule. The magnesium ions are essential to be present in the porphyrin ring of the chlorophyll molecule, and this magnesium ions are also acts as activators for certain enzymes like phosphorylase and carboxylase. the enzymes phosphorylase, carboxylase and many other enzymes are involved in the processes like respiration and photosynthesis. So these are the enzymes which are going to be activated only in the presence of magnesium ion, and hence the magnesium acts as the activators of enzymes. The next function of magnesium is it is required in the ribosomal assemblage. During protein synthesis, the larger subunit of the ribosome should assemble with the smaller subunit of the ribosome. Then only the mRNA which is present is going to bind to the ribosomes, and when the mRNA is going to bind to the ribosomes, then the protein synthesis can take place. So if the magnesium ion is not present, then the ribosomal assemblage is not possible, and due to this the protein synthesis would get affected. So let us see some deficiency symptoms due to the absence of magnesium ions. As I said you that the magnesium ions are responsible, or it is included in the synthesis of chlorophyll molecule. If the magnesium ions are absent, then the chlorophyll molecule would not get synthesized, and if the chlorophyll molecule would not get synthesized, then the yellowing of leaves can take place, and this yellowing of leaves is called as chlorosis, and also we can see the necrosis, that means the death of the tissues takes place due to the absence of magnesium ion. And the next deficiency symptom which can be seen due to the presence of less amount of the magnesium is it reduces the rate of respiration and photosynthesis. While learning the functions, I explained you that it helps in activating certain enzymes which are responsible for carrying out the processes like respiration and photosynthesis. If the magnesium ion is deficient, or due to the deficiency of magnesium ions, the rate of the respiration and also the rate of photosynthesis will get lowered, or it reduces. The next deficiency symptom in the case of magnesium ion is it reduces protein synthesis. As the magnesium ions helps in the ribosomal assembly, and that means it helps in the protein synthesis, but due to the absence of magnesium ions, the protein synthesis would get affected or it will be reduces. And in the absence of magnesium, or due to the deficiency of magnesium ions, one pigment named anthocyanin, which is purple in color, is produces in the plant body. So these are certain functions and deficiency symptom of the element magnesium. In the next class, I am going to explain you some more micro and macro elements. Thank you.